This week's Watchlist Wednesday gives a shout out to all of you pet parents out there. And since I'm sure everybody cares, let me show you a few pictures of mine. And I'm sure you could tell either by the clips I played or by the title of this video, this week we're going to be taking a look at Chewy. Hey everyone, and thanks for joining me today. My name is Matt, and as I mentioned, this week we are going to be doing an analysis of Chewy. And I believe Chewy is actually the newest stock that I've done a review of. By that I mean it's been on public markets the least amount of time compared to companies I previously looked at. That is going to create some challenges with doing an analysis of this company, but more on that later. As always, I like to start off with some background info about the company, so let's kind of talk about Chewy's background first. So Chewy is an online pet store. They've been in business since around 2011, and they specialize in all of your pet's needs, whether that be dogs, cats, fish, reptiles, whatever you're interested in. And they also have a pet pharmacy as well. So they really specialize in quality products for your animals at home through an online experience. In 2017, they were acquired by PetSmart for $3.35 billion. But part of that deal was they let Chewy be a standalone company. So they don't fall underneath PetSmart's name, but PetSmart is now the parent company to Chewy. They went public in 2019, around June of 2019, so they've only been on the market for a little bit over a year. So I am going to start with the analysis for this week, but just a few things I wanted to mention before we jump right into those numbers. First one is Chewy is not profitable, so we don't have as many ratios that we would typically take a look at when it comes to comparing this company. As well as I mentioned, they're a new company on the public markets, so their data doesn't go that far back for us to look into. And lastly, they only really have a small amount of competition. Now yes, there are plenty of brick and mortar pet stores, I'm sure you have a bunch in your local area, but when it comes to an online presence, really their competition is going to be Amazon. But even with limited information, that's not going to stop us from doing an analysis. So let's talk about what we do know about Chewy. And all of this information comes from their recent filings report. And also, I should mention, these numbers were reported in kind of a strange way. And I'm just going to read this right, what I saw from the report itself. It says that these are 13 weeks ended in May 3rd, 2020, compared to 13 weeks ended May 5th, 2019. Not sure why they didn't just do a full year comparison, but it's not my business, so we'll just work with what we have. And we'll start off with the good stuff first from these numbers. So Chewy was able to grow their active customer base by 32.6% during this time period, which brought them from around 11 million active customers to 15 million active customers. And of those 15 million active customers, 67.9% of them are auto ship customers, meaning that they receive products on a routine basis without having to go to the website or anything. They just automatically have those products shipped to them, which as an investor, and as I've mentioned before, is something that I like to see because it's a source of reoccurring revenue without needing to constantly acquire new customers, find new customers, or makes it also easier for giving guidance when they're reporting these kind of numbers and future outlooks. They also saw their net sales increase by 46.2%, which again is something good to see that they are able to increase their number of sales. That increase in sales added about $500 million in their sales compared to that previous 13-week quarter, or 13-week filing. So those were really the biggest factors when it comes to their numbers that stood out to me personally. Again, that is increasing their net revenue, increasing their customers, and also a small but still an increase in their auto ship or reoccurring customers. And now I do want to talk about some of the concerns I have from this recent filing. And the first one, not a big deal, but their free cash flow is still negative. Now, part of that does have to do with the fact that they just established a new distribution center in North Carolina. It's actually not too far from me. I passed it about a month ago. I think it's in Salisbury or something. So that's a big expense that they'll have. They also needed to implement new software to allow their employees to work from home during these times. And they're building another distribution center in Pennsylvania. So those are costs that are good to see because it means they're growing. While yes, that is going to have a negative impact on their financial statements, it just means that they're growing in the right ways and adapting to new times or coping with challenges that they're facing. But the biggest concern I have when it comes to Chewy is their cost of goods sold is extremely high. Of their net sales, cost of goods sold makes up 76.6% of that expense. So way more than half, more than 3/4 of what they receive in net sales goes to their cost of goods sold. And that's something that over time I'm sure they'll decrease, but it did increase when compared to the last period. And actually it increased by 45%. So their cost has been increasing, and they kind of said that a lot of it has to do with COVID and higher shipping costs, and that they've been getting more orders. And really they were focusing on shipping, so much so they word hit 3 ways during their report. I'll pop it up on the screen here, but they really seem to be blaming shipping on the reason for that increase in cost of goods sold. While that does make sense, you would think with an increase in sales that the cost of goods sold would remain the same. So I don't exactly see how they're justifying shipping costs as the main reason why their cost of goods sold also dramatically increased. Okay, now that we've kind of talked about their financial data, which again, I apologize, it isn't much, but we don't have much to work with. Those were just the numbers that stood out to me the most, and if you want to take a deeper look, you can always pull that up on Chewy's investor relations page. But let's talk about a few key points from the earnings call, as well as their competition. So during the first quarter of this year, they launched a virtual gift card, which seems to be something they're very excited about. I kind of thought that would be a given to have something along those lines already in place, but not my place to make that call. And it seems to be another way that they're actually getting more people on the platform is because people are sending Chewy gift cards. So that's good to see that they're able to offer this kind of incentive to drive people to their site, and seems to be very well received from the consumers. They also said that the average cart size has been increasing, which is good to see. They didn't give an exact number there, but it always means that if people have a larger cart size, that means they're going to spend more money with Chewy, which should help increase their revenue and hopefully boost them towards being profitable sooner. Now, a negative though from the earnings call is they did briefly mention that their inventory levels have increased. And they kind of brush right over this, but their claim is that it's issues with third-party vendors. Take it or leave it, they didn't really go into much detail there, but you would think with them having a lot more volume going to their site, inventory levels wouldn't have increased the way that they stated. But again, not something they took too much time to talk about, so I don't think it's something they see as a big threat, but is something that stood out to me as a negative during that earnings call. Now, one thing I think that Chewy is doing very well is their focus on customer appreciation and client loyalty. One of the ways they did do that is I did see an article that talked about somebody whose dog was older and was on an auto shipping for a prescription food they needed because of their diet, and the dog passed away. And when the owner called Chewy to say, hey, can I send this back and just get a refund for the food, Chewy told them to go ahead and donate the food to a local shelter. They sent this person back the money, but they also included a handwritten note with a painting of their dog that recently passed away. And that's the kind of thing that, as a dog owner or pet owner, you just love to see that kind of care because they are a part of your family. And so many times those little things really go a long way when it comes to building brand loyalty and overall having people coming back to you once they get a new pet or if they get a new pet. And while a store like that's hard to top, they also do offer 30% off for your first auto ship order, I guess you would call it, which is a really good way to get people signed up for that auto ship. And we all kind of know when it comes to subscriptions or auto shipping, people generally forget about it. And that's just a way for them to, again, get that reoccurring revenue back into them and just have a more consistent base of money going there. It really seems like that's their biggest focus, is to have everybody on this auto ship platform. And while that's not necessarily possible for everybody to be auto ship, seeing that over half or just shy of 2/3 of their customers are on this auto ship is something, again, beneficial to see as the investor. You also get a discount if you use the auto ship. It's usually like $2 for like a bag of food or something, but again, still a good thing to see. So I did want to compare Chewy's cost to Amazon, since that really seems to be their biggest competition. And when I looked, I noticed that the costs were actually the exact same. So I have it pulled up here in front of myself right now. And yeah, just taking a look at it, I'll pop these up so you can see that on your screen as well. they are the exact same price. And when I saw this initially, it had me wondering, so what's their competitive advantage? And why would I choose to, give my payment information to another company if I already have Amazon Prime? I know it's going to get here in time, and I just don't see the need for there being another company. If I'm already ordering things from Amazon, it can come together. And so I had to look a little bit further into that. And this kind of all circles back to some of my previous videos where I talked about companies with a single focus, like DocuSign. And that's what Chewy is doing very well. Their focus is entirely on quality control, making sure that you and your pet receive their needs in a quick and timely manner. And so basically they're like the Amazon for pet supplies, but they focus on pet supplies, which is a really good thing to see, because I did see reviews on Amazon. I should mention this is the dog food that I use, so that's just why I use this as an example. I did see reviews on Amazon saying do not order from, and I'll pop that up actually. People were saying do not order pet food from Amazon. They talked about bugs being found in the food, or the food came as like a powder all crumbled up because it wasn't packaged correctly. And I know that me and my girlfriend recently ordered the dog food from Chewy, and it comes, in a padded box. It comes secure. It came like within 2 days, so it was really quick. And that's the kind of quality control that people and consumers will be looking out for, because when it comes to your pet, we really treat pets like a human themselves, and we want to make sure they're receiving quality. There's no issues. It's what you expect to receive, because we want to keep them healthy. And I think that's where Chewy is going to stand out with this competitive advantage of being an online pet supplier, is their focus on quality control. So while the prices are the same, that indicates that the margins for pet food and pet supplies are probably pretty thin, which is why these are so competitively priced. People will choose Chewy over Amazon because they feel safer ordering from them. Now, I want to take this a step further and actually compare this to the warehouse that we typically go for dog food, which is called Dog Supplies. It's an online retailer, but they happen to have a presence not far from where I live currently. But I went on their website and it was shut down for maintenance, so couldn't really take a look there. But comparing it to Amazon, while the price is the same, focusing on quality is enough of a reason for me to choose this as an investment. Now, with all that being said, I think Chewy has an opportunity to grow, but I think it's going to be slow and steady. So this isn't one I'm going to put my typical $5,000 into. I'm thinking that maybe $1,000 might be more appropriate to start off with. They should be trading around $50. I haven't really seen today, but that would get us at least 20 shares of Chewy, which I think is enough exposure for now. I think once we have more data, more information about them, or once they become profitable, then we might look into adding more shares to them. But right now they do have a unique advantage in this world. And so I think it is one that for the time being is worth adding onto the portfolio. So let me go ahead and take care of that, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I did go ahead and add about 21 shares of Chewy to the portfolio. Came out to about $991. So again, not our biggest position by any means, and maybe not one I'm going to add more to, but I think it's one worth having a small bit of exposure to. I know $1,000 is a lot of money, but compared to the other positions we have in this portfolio, I think it fits in appropriately as you could say a little bit more risky of a position, but one that we're going to hopefully get some growth out of, similarly to like how we did with Peloton. But I guess with that said, we'll wrap it up here today. Sorry if I sound a little off. Allergies are really rough for me today, and I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit, but hope that you all enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, as always, please leave them in the comment section down below, or let me know what stocks that you might want me to take a look at, and I'll happily see if I can do an analysis of them. And if you like this, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. I'm so bad at asking for that stuff, so sorry if this always comes across as so awkward, but also if you want to subscribe, please feel free to do so. Broke 161 subscribers, so I'm super excited about that, but also very happy with the way that this channel has been growing, and really love all the feedback that all of you have been giving to me. So glad to know that I'm providing value to you, and thanks for sticking around for me on this episode. But with that said, I'll go ahead and close it out here. So thank you so much for taking the time out of this video. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. You could be anywhere in the world and you're right here with me, so I really appreciate that. I guess with that said, I will see you next time, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day.